Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera Show. You know, I love to get in the kitchen and I love to think about things that I can do for other people when I have a little bit of time. And I have a brand new neighbor next door to me that I've yet to get over there with a meal. And I thought this would be the perfect opportunity for me to introduce you to another part of the business that I had for 32 years and also create a way to give you some suggestions for something for a new neighbor, a brand new mom, or just a friend maybe that's been in the hospital and you want to take a meal to their family. So today we're going to do 3 recipes. The first one is a creamy chicken casserole with vegetables in it. Then I'm going to do a soda bread that's a really quick, easy bread, and nothing's better than homemade bread. And then finally for dessert, we're going to do a brown butter shortbread cookie that has a pecan on top. So all 3 of these travel well. I'm even going to talk about shipping them, and we're going to get started first on the chicken casserole. So what I've done ahead was I melted a little bit of butter in my cast iron skillet, and then I've added to that some freshly chopped garlic, a little bit of chopped onion, and actually today in Vera's Corner, I'm going to show you magic behind chopping up that onion. And then look at these beautiful red and yellow peppers that we're putting in this. So, you know, when you're doing a casserole for somebody, maybe try something a little different, something maybe that you've tasted before, but might be brand new to them. And then to this, a little bit of freshly cut mushrooms. So now I've put my seasonings in. I've got some salt, some pepper, some fresh thyme, a little bit of flour because we're going to make a nice roux to this with just a little bit of milk. So I've got it to about halfway there. So I'm going to turn my heat up a little bit. And if you do this gradually, you're going to be less likely to get lumps. And you're also going to create that nice creamy texture that you're looking for with this. So, you know, I love it when people come up to me at the grocery store and say, oh, I just watch your show. I love watching your show. And then for me to say, well, you know, I love to come up with things. I'm always looking for ideas and suggestions on the next thing. So it made me think about how I actually got into the casserole business. And, you know, for years I was known as the cake lady. And one day my older son called, and, you know, it was one of those mom, I need money kind of things. And it was trying to come up with something to do for Valentine's Day for his girlfriend. And I said, I'm not sending money. I'll send some casseroles and you can have her over for dinner. And he called me from the University of Georgia and said, Mom, you need to be shipping those casseroles along with the cakes because everything arrived in perfect condition and it was delicious. So there is the beginning of the VeryVera Gourmet to Go line that we sold for years in Costco and Neiman Marcus and Saks, Bloomingdale's, all sold some of our casseroles in their catalogs. All right, so this is getting nice and thick. And then at this point, you're gonna add in some rice, and you can do just plain white, you can do a wild rice, whichever you prefer. And then just some cut up chicken. If you don't have time to cook the chicken yourself, you can always just pick up rotisserie chicken or buy the already cooked chicken in the store. And then frozen vegetable, nothing like spinach in a casserole. You know, we always seem to have the same vegetables. Broccoli, I guess, would be king of the casserole department. But the frozen food section at Fresh Market has so many unique frozen vegetables. I mean, it is crazy some of the things that I have tried that have come out of the frozen food counter at Fresh Market. So look how colorful this is. And it's making quite a bit. Now I'm gonna add in my Parmesan cheese. And then in terms of containers, there's lots of ways to do this. If you take a great big container, they've got to cook it all at once. So this will fill up both of these disposable pans. And what you can do is send it in the 2 pans. If they need it all, they'll cook it all. If they don't, they've got one to eat tonight and then another one to stick in the freezer. So when we come back from the break, we're going to get started on a soda bread that I'm going to put all kinds of twist on that. And I will also be introducing the cookie I'm going to be making as well. So come back with me while I get these casseroles loaded up to go in the oven. Welcome back, everybody, and if you're just joining me, I'm a little tardy in getting a care package to my new neighbor, but don't worry, they've got a great surprise coming today when I deliver this wonderful care package. So we got the creamy chicken vegetable casserole in the oven. I covered it, and it's going to bake for 20 minutes at 350, and then I'm going to uncover it and let it bake for the final 10 minutes. Now, on these casseroles, you can either take it fresh, ready to go, or you can take it frozen with instructions on how to thaw it and bake it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one frozen and I'm going to take one that's ready to go in the oven, because she does know that I'm coming with this today, and hopefully this will be her dinner tonight. All right, bread. You know, there's nothing better when you go out to eat than for them to bring the bread to the table and you open it up, you put butter on it, and it just melts in your mouth when you eat it. And that's almost like your introduction to that restaurant. And I think a lot of us shy away from bread because we don't feel like we know enough about the chemistry of it, the yeast of it, all of those things. So this is a really great recipe if you want to take a loaf of bread that you can say, I made this myself. So this is a soda bread. The traditional soda bread just used plain soda in it, and it's really kind of a bland bread that you can maybe dress up with a seasoned butter or jam. So what we're doing today is I'm substituting Sprite to give it a little bit of a twist, but you can also use beer to make this bread. So this is 3 cups of self-rising flour. I'm going to add to that 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and then I've got 12 ounces of Sprite. Now, this is absolutely where you want to bring that young person in the kitchen, because you're not going to use the whole bottle of Sprite, so they can drink the rest of it. So that's number 1. And then number 2 is just such a cool recipe to make a quick bread with a foamy liquid in it. So it makes me go back to thinking about my first experiences with bread making. And maybe this is where the whole thing about baking is almost crazy to me, that I've ended up loving that more than anything else, because chemistry was not my best subject. I literally, I think on the last day of class, the chemistry professor said, Vera, what is the formula for water? And I had to think about it for a minute. So the chemistry in baking has ended up being part of what I love the most. So at this point, it actually smells like yeast. And I don't know what it is, other than it's the carbonation in the Sprite. But I've prepared my loaf pan with a little bit of the floured vegetable oil. I'm going to put melted butter now on it. And this is where I'm just using a folding technique. So we're just going to fold the butter into this, and it truly begins to look even more like yeast dough. So as I said, this is one of those things that you usually have everything that I've named already in your pantry to use to make this. And even if all you took to the friend was a loaf of homemade bread, think of the uses. Making a sandwich, toasting it for dinner, that I hope that my neighbors will do with the casserole, and then using it for breakfast the next morning with some great jam or jelly. So I'm going to get this mixed together. We're going to get this poured in the pan, and when we come back from the break, we're going to get started on a brown butter shortbread cookie that has a nice, beautiful Georgia pecan on the top. So come back with me in just a few minutes.
Vera's Corner is brought to you by Georgia Bank and Trust and Southern Bank and Trust.
Hey, today I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to dice an onion to get an absolute perfect uniform chop. Start by slicing off the non-root end of your onion. Then peel off the papery outer layer. Stand the onion on its cut end and slice vertically through the root. Make evenly spaced vertical slices through the onion, being sure not to slice through the root. Turn the onion 90 degrees and make a horizontal slice through the center, being sure not to slice through the root. Slice vertically down the length of the onion, and you now have an evenly diced onion. Welcome back, everybody, and I hope my neighbors are getting excited about my dinner tonight that I'm bringing over. And you know, it's just such a great thing to still go back in time to the way things used to be done. When a new neighbor moved in, you took them dinner. You know, if you've got a sick friend that needs dinner for the family, somebody's had a baby, it's just something to do that really kind of brings you into the process of the celebration, you know, and just the thoughtful gesture. So we're all so busy, so coming up with easy things that can be done ahead and things that really don't take as much time as you would think. And a lot of these things are ingredients that we've already had in the kitchen. So I've gotten the bread in the oven, and the most wonderful thing about my new Wolf M-Series oven is that it has a convection bake feature on it. So I actually changed the mode from regular bake to convection bake because it wouldn't affect the casserole at all. I have that in the oven now baking for about 50 minutes. It's gonna be nice and golden brown on top. Can't wait for that. So the brown butter shortbread cookie with the pecan on top is just a really old recipe, but I have another new twist with this recipe today that I'm excited about. So I got the dough made in my test kitchen. So let's walk through the steps of getting the dough put together. The first thing you do is you brown your butter in a skillet. And the browning process, once you start seeing that golden look to that butter, that's when you want to turn that heat down and start swirling it in the pan because it's going to get brown really quick. But that's what brings the nutty flavor to this recipe. The actual smell that you get from browning butter is awesome, and that same taste is what you're going to get in this finished product. Then I creamed my butter until it was nice and fluffy, and then started adding the brown sugar. Mix together pecan meal, flour, cornstarch, salt, and baking powder. And then stir the egg yolk into your butter and sugar mixture and get that really nice and creamed up. The vanilla bean paste that I'm using in this recipe is actually something that I really encourage you to do. This is a new twist to this recipe. Vanilla bean paste is a really concentrated use of vanilla beans, and it lasts for quite a long time in your pantry. Now I'm going to add in the brown butter. I'm going to add in my flour mixture. I'm going to refrigerate this dough, divide it in half, and then make it into 2 separate logs. So this is where I am now with the recipe. I've got the log all ready to go. I've wrapped it in parchment paper. And I'm going to cut this into coins. I've got my sheet pan prepared with my parchment paper. And what you want to do here is just make a 1/4 of an inch slice on this dough. And I know that a lot of you are just really going back in time to what we used to call icebox cookies years ago. And you know, there was always a neighbor that made icebox cookies for Christmas that you just couldn't wait for them to come to your house with that. But this dough can last in the freezer for up to 3 months. So if one day you just decide that you want to get this dough made, you can have these wrapped parchment paper logs already in your freezer for when an occasion like the one that we're doing today comes along, you're ready to go. So this is a pecan on top, just raw sugar that I'm dusting it with. And these are going to bake for about 12 to 15 minutes. All right, so let me go back to this vanilla bean just a minute, because this again is just a really concentrated vanilla bean paste, and just how concentrated that vanilla bean speck is in there is amazing. Okay, so let's go back to the bread. I also made bread yesterday ahead, and I've wrapped it in saran. Isn't that a beautiful loaf of bread? And on our website at VeryVera.com, we're going to have the template for this little sleeve that the only wrapping that you have to do is just put that right on the loaf of bread and it's ready to go. So I just love that part. All right, so let's get some more of these cookies sliced. And you know, when I think back to my days in mail order, and you know, the question is always, what was your favorite thing? My favorite thing actually was the tins of pecan sandies and cheese straws. So this is a little hint about what might be coming up with VeryVera very soon. So come back with us after the break. I'm going to go back over some of my packaging techniques from years ago, tried and true, if you want to mail some of what we're making today. So come back with us in just a few minutes. Well, I've had fun today. I hope you have. And I hope my neighbors are going to have fun when they get to eat what I've prepared for them. And certainly I'm just so happy to have my new neighbors with me. And, you know, when you're getting ready to do this sort of thing, you know, all the different occasions, whether it's a new neighbor or a new baby, but, you know, you might also want to ship what we've done today. So after all those number of years in the mail order business, I think I know a little bit about how to get things there safely and in really great condition. So let's look at what we did today and let's ship this to a friend. So you want to pick out a white styrofoam cooler and then go to your local UPS store and get them to choose the perfect box to fit that cooler. Once you've done that, they will actually help you put this together right there in the store. Just take your frozen gel packs with you. So you're going to put a layer of peanuts, then your frozen gel pack, then another layer of your styrofoam peanuts, the actual frozen casserole, then another gel pack, and then make a barrier with your styrofoam peanuts. Then you can start adding in the things that don't have to stay cold, like the bread that we prepared, the cookies that are in the jar, but you've got that nice padding for your breakable, your nice padding for the things that you don't want to get smashed, and then you want to make sure that you seal it up really well, put the lid on the cooler, and then put enough styrofoam peanuts so that there's no movement in the box itself. If it's going to get there the next day when she looks at the address where you're shipping, then you can do fine with the frozen gel packs. If it's going to take longer than 2 days, you need to use dry ice. All right, well now this is what's going to my neighbor. So we've got the freshly prepared casserole, and these pans that you can pick up at any grocery store have the little lid that goes on top, so you could create a nice label to go on that. But I want to handwrite the instructions. So we're going to bake at 350, covered for 20 minutes. Then uncovered for 10. And that can just be something cute that you put on top. All right, so I'll seal this up. I'm going to get this right down in the pan, and I'm not putting any refrigeration on this because I'm planning to deliver it as soon as I get finished here. All right, now the cookies love this. Just a regular ball jar. And you're just going to start layering them in. And you can get about a dozen or maybe 13 cookies in this jar at one time. Then I've just tied it up with some twine, so that looks really cute to go on the corner. Now the bread we talked about earlier has a perfect sleeve on it, and all the recipes for what we've done today are on my website at VeryVera.com, along with the template for the soda bread. And this is also a really great design with the knife and fork, so I can put it in on one side. Now I've got one corner left. There's nothing like fresh flowers, whether it goes on their kitchen table, on the counter in the kitchen, or beside the bed. It's always a nice gesture to send fresh flowers, or you could do greenery out of your yard. All right, last but not least, you know, why don't you just make them not have to do one single thing but eat? So throw in some paper plates, some utensils, some extra napkins, and then this container, you know, you can pick up anywhere, but it's just a great thing. It could go in their laundry room to, you know, throw kitchen towels, or just would be a great thing next to the fireplace with some wood in it. So not very expensive, but just a really unique way to deliver instead of in a bag. All right, so we've gone over quite a bit today, and I hope that you will will try these recipes. As I said, they're always on our website. And if you've got some great ideas for me, I hope you'll give me a shout out at Vera@VeryVera.com with some of your ideas for the show. So I'm going to get all of this together. I've got to make a little walk next door to deliver this to my neighbors. I hope that you will come back and join me again next weekend for the Very Vera Show. See you then.